First of all, I want to give a huge shout out to Duet Plus, to Fuad, to Raha, to everyone behind the team that's organizing everything over here. I think spaces like this are so important for it to exist, and I think what spaces usually have is four walls, and what actually brings it to life is the intention and the energy that you put into it. And I think you guys did a phenomenal job with putting so much energy, bringing all of these amazing people into the space and actually giving a platform for everyone to talk about things that they love and actually give insight into what's happening into the community over here. So thank you so much. I want to have everyone give a huge round of applause for Fuad, for Aha, for Duet, to Saul, to Public, to everyone over here as well. And with that, let's get started. Usually what we do when we start our Karak Conversations is we make sure we give a space for everyone that we invite to talk about themselves, talk about their journeys, talk about like what actually got them to the place that they're in. And at the same time, we also want to address some topics that people might be wanting to address, especially in today's day and age. And this time we chose the topic Fork AI. And this was a conversation that was supposed to happen a couple of weeks ago, but unfortunately, due to circumstances out of our control, we had to bring it over here, which in my eyes is a very fortunate situation right now, looking at it. So things happen for a reason. But with that, let's get started. Let's start with the man behind the space. Give us a little introduction, and we can take it from there.
Hi, my name is Fuad. I'm creative director and co-founder of Duet, alongside Rahat. She was here. Thank you all for coming. A little bit of my background. Growing up, I wanted to play professional football play. And I found out at the age of 17, 18 that that's not it. And I stumbled into creative store, retail, the first job that I got, and I happened to work for Calvin Klein back in 2005. You don't need to do the math, I'm 40 years old. So, and at the time, Calvin Klein was the hottest brand that you can work for, and working for the brand, one thing that I learned was each brand has something story to tell. I think at the time, Diesel, Calvin Klein jeans, a few of the brands, Salsa, and the other jeans brand was there. But what spoke to me, Calvin Klein, was is the way they tell their story, and ever since been obsessed about storytelling, and then from there I moved into working for a lot of luxury brands. The number of brands that I looked after in the region, up to the point that I worked for LVMH, counts up to 250 over 9 countries in the region, and I think around 2020 and the pandemic is the moment where we have to slow down a little bit and think what we wanted to do. And we had a aha moment for ourselves that we can do this. And I left the role that I had for over 12 years to launch Duet alongside Rahat. Duet Studio is an experiential design studio. We work around humans' emotion installation, designing a space, and mainly focus on the experience. It's very ironic that I come here to speak about AI, which I really believe has no emotion whatsoever. And we design emotions and how we make people feel, and I can't wait to dive deep and talk about more. But before I pass the mic on, I want to give a shout out to Faisal, because Karak is something that we've been seeing what they himself and the team been building, and as a creative, you might be seeing it from the outside. We are fragmented and doing our own thing, but never was. We intentionally divide ourselves to conquer.
Appreciate you for the kind words. Let's go with Rayen and then Dinika. I'll introduce myself last, I guess, and then we'll dive into it. Let's go, Rayen. Give us a little introduction.
Okay. Hey guys, nice to meet you all. So I'm Rayen. I'm a filmmaker and director. I moved to Dubai almost like 5 years ago. It's a long journey. I'll try, to say it in a nutshell. I actually studied architecture, and after like 3 or 4 years, I dropped out. I had, I had like a temporary job back then for like a year, and then after that, I started like my own small coffee shop in Lebanon. I'm Lebanese, by the way, and it's like up in the mountains. I think it's one of the best experiences I've had till the day. Actually shaped me in a lot of ways I cannot imagine. I got to experience like different forms of art and design and content and everything. And when shit hit the fan in Lebanon, I had to leave it behind in 2021, and Dubai called. And I think that's one of the best decisions I've made in my life. I came here to this amazing place, but amazing people doing great things, where everything seems possible. And I got, here in Dubai, my first job was a video editor, actually, in an agency in Media City. Later I just got fortunate to work for like different brands. I'm a like car freak at heart. I love cars, and I think I'm here today because I really loved cars since a very young age. And I got to work with like really like different automotive brands. I think the first one was like Mercedes-Benz. Then from there, it was Porsche for a couple of years. I owe a lot to Porsche. Like that brand is amazing from different like angles, and the storytelling and everything is on a different level. I think I learned a lot working with Porsche. And from there, it was just unbelievable, to be honest. Like sometimes it just doesn't feel real. We worked with Rolls-Royce, AMG, Bugatti, and it all like when I think about it, like if you tell me this like 5 or 6 years ago, I wouldn't believe you. But somehow when I look back at it, it all just kind of makes sense, and you can connect it all together. I'm just fortunate enough, to just be here today, in this great place. I think everybody agrees that Dubai has great talents and amazing people, and today is just, a proof. So thank you for having me here today. It's a blessing, to be honest. I'm really blessed, and looking forward to this. We'll see you.
Shout out. Let's hear a little intro, Dinika.
Alrighty. Hello. Hi. I'm going to follow on the blessing because it is a real blessing to be here amongst you all, and to be re-invited to co-host with you, Faisal. Thank you so much. So my name is Dinika. I am an artist and a writer, and a wearer of a few other hats. I've been in Dubai for about 3 years unofficially, and or officially, unofficially, in and out.
What does 3 years unofficially mean?
I think I meant officially, but yeah.
Okay, fair.
In that way that we're in a bit of a situationship right now.
Okay,
fair. I'll put it that way.
All right, it's complicated.
It's a bit complicated, but in the sense that when I explain my practice, it might make a bit more sense. So I'm interested in the things that script our imaginations. I'm interested in what I call, I guess, our emotional architecture. The systems that go on to determine how we relate to one another, how we relate to ourselves. And I believe that what brings me to this conversation perhaps is the idea that a lot of who we are today is increasingly pegged to what technology asks of us today. And there are points where, is anyone familiar with the singularity here? So familiar with that concept, and sort of, I think we'll talk about it a bit more. But if I go from the idea that at some point humanity and technology become one, which is, what the Sam Altmans of the world want from us, I'm interested in how we reclaim the agency of what it means to define who we will be in the world. And I think that's what drives my practice. I come to this as well from a pretty colorful background. I myself studied, we call it business science back home. There's no real science to it, other than perhaps the science of making money.
Right, business.
Pretty much business. But I've worked in my career before this. I have a background in technology. So ironically, my background is fintech. I come to Dubai through that space. My art and my practice is devoutly analog. I work with my hands. I work as much with my body as possible. I work as much in community with other people as possible. And I don't believe it has to be either or, which is what I'm interested in expanding on as well. So I'll leave it there for now. I think more of the story will emerge as we talk. But I'm really thrilled to be here and honored to hold some space with you today.
Awesome. That's beautiful. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And of course, I wasn't second guessing inviting you back as being a co-host. You're always going to be there. But yeah, so my name is Faisal. I'm the founder and creative director of a platform called Karak. It's a platform where we showcase the creative community over here in Dubai. We've been doing it for the past 3 years, but overall the concept started like during COVID. What we do is we try to showcase the creative community through every single touch point, whether it's through conversations, whether it's through like artist performances, or even through nightlife, where we try to bring an educational element to it. We make sure that music that we play over there is at least 10 to 15% of it is music that's coming from the city and from this region. And that's our way of educating people through a nightlife perspective. So we look at every single touch point that we focus on as the creative community, the people over here as being the main anchor around all of the experience that we look to create. So this is what we've been doing. And I think the space shows that it is possible. There's been a huge shift, at least like we've been noticing as well, with the way that brands and other people started noticing and seeing the value in the creative community here in Dubai, and it's super beautiful to see and be part of that wave right now as well. So with that in mind, I think we can get started a little bit. I feel like the intros kind of give us a little overview of all of our guests over here today. Let's get into a little bit deeper. We want to know about what that journey actually looked like. Like, what did you start off as? What was that shift you started duets? How did you shift from going from a 9 to 5 to running your own business to working with your wife and your business partner as well? Give us a little journey so that if someone were to do something like what you have created, what would that blueprint look like?
I'm the wrong guy. We often talk about this with Rahat. We are the most delusional couples you can meet in the city. I quit my job with no intention of what we wanted to do. I think what we wanted to do was take a break. But let me give you a little bit of a background of what I've done. I think I can personally see it. My career was going to somewhere, and I work for Shalhoub Group for over 12 years. I started with my name and my title as a junior. By the time I left in the senior management, but along the way, work hard and build the network, and you give you 200%, you're going to grow. And there is this thing that is feeding you from HR. You're part of a big family, a big picture. And then there is these job descriptions that comes in, the promotion that is, and the corporate politics behind it. And there is always drive that is pushed on you. And then there is growth vertically, and there is a growth horizontally, and there is always this course that you take. And we've been chasing that for at least for my second job at the time, for 12 years. But a few things start to happen at the time. The first, I think I might have 3 reasons why I quit. The first one was it's unfortunate. It's very personal. At the time, my mom has a cancer, and nothing in the world makes sense. Day one, after I found out that it's whether you're working for a luxury brand, the stuff you do, the deadlines, it's all bullshit. It's nobody dies if these things are not executed. And I got the chance to chat with her personal doctor, which will be doing a surgery, and he came out of 6 hours of surgery, and my meeting with him, he's like, I don't have time. Can you come with me to downstairs and we can talk? And we went downstairs. He took a cigarette pack outside and he said, "You smoke?" And I'm like, doctor, that's smoke. Let's do it. And then we light up a cigarette, and the way he light up the cigarette and smoke is, it was so deep. And then just take a deep breath, and then he's like, "Can we talk now?" And I'm like, "Rough day." He said, "Yep, I saved 2 lives and we lost 1 today." And we had a 15 minutes talk, and then he said, "I'm gonna go back and I'll see you later, well, tomorrow, schedule for the surgery." And at the same time, I received this email from Dior that my team has designed the pop-up concept with the old logo. I wish I can show you the old logo and the new logo, and you can't tell the difference by eye, but the whole HQ is flipping because I didn't answer with the revision of the design with the new logo. And by the time I get back on the weekend, on Monday, that was on Friday, the email came in. By Monday, I saw that email, and I'm like, it's not a big deal, we can still change it now. But that was the moment that it's a different perspective. The guy who's saving life, his urgency is different than the people who's trying to sell a bag for 35,000 dirham. And the logo is a big deal. And that is the moment that changes my perspective. But at the same time, one morning I found myself being introduced to a guy in his late 50s, closer to 60. He has no title, but he's been told to shadow me around on what are the projects that I work. And I asked him, "Are you my manager?" He said, No, I'm just overshadowing. And the HR said, just share stuff that you work with. And there were a couple of projects I was working on, so I told him these are the projects that we're working on. And from there on, he took those 2 projects, and every time he goes to the board meeting, just background, I don't speak French, and the company that we work in is French is the first language. And then the first 2 feedback comes in from the board. He's like, "Scrap this thing and we're gonna work all over again." And comes like 6 months, and I'm like, "You've been doing this for a very long time. Push back, because these people don't understand design or the language that we were talking." And at the time I was 35, and I'm like, I don't want to be doing that in my 60s. So the second aha moment was that. And obviously, the third one came in because I have a VP I report to, and the way we work together, because most of the time I've been report to people that I don't understand my job, so they allow me to do what I do. But this person was too dumb to understand what I do, as the way pointing and asking kind of annoys me. And I came home one day to Rahat, and I'm like, fucking hate this job. And that's the first time ever I said that in 18 years. And she said, quit. And I'm like, you sure? And she said, yeah. And I'm like, okay. But what about Adam? We have a 13 years old kid. He's somewhere in the corner. He's the head of security. He's supposed to be here. Yeah. And I didn't think about what I'm going to do, because I've been building this. And the moment somebody who you're spending the rest of your life with, and say, I never saw you complaining about your job. And she said, if you hate it that much, just quit it. And I texted my boss and said, I'm out. And she replied back with a question mark, what do you mean? And I'm like, I'm done coming to work. And that's why I said I'm the wrong guy to follow, because I quit 18 years of my job via text message. I quit. And obviously the year before, I had an award in the company. What is this award McDonald's gives? Employee of the Month? Yeah, I was Employee of the Year at the time, and someone who'd been excelling in their job for a very long time quit their job via text message. It was a big deal. So they put a task force to investigate the reason why I wanted to quit. And so I quit it on Monday. So Tuesday I jump on the call and HR said, can you give us a little bit of a reason why you're quitting? And I'm like, because I'm done. I don't want to do this anymore. And I don't need to explain, and I don't owe anybody anything. I just want to, stop working from today. And then they wanted to investigate if it was my boss and the team that I was working with. And I didn't go back to do a handover. I didn't want to go back to the office to do anything. I just stopped going to work. They kept paying me for 3 months because they thought that I would come back. And I kept taking the money. But I went to my friends at the time. They were working for Abu Dhabi Media. I want to find out what TVs are being produced. And I'm curious, and I'm getting paid. So I go and hang out in TV studios, and then the guys were doing few live shows, and I'm sitting there and I'll say, you can do this because I think you missed the whole area. And the guys are like, now you're the art director. So I'm like, okay. We produced a couple of shows. And I wanted to take that break. And that's why I didn't want anything has to do with fashion or luxury brands. And I spend a lot of time back and forth between Abu Dhabi doing a temporary art direction for the national TV. Then 3 months after that, I kind of have clear idea of what we wanted to do. And myself and Rahat, we grow up here. And in 2008, we had a dream talking about something doing for ourselves. Which is the Duet Studio. A little did I know that it's we work on the website together, and the company and the business plan. And the first thing we did was, okay, we're gonna go and look for a client, and we find out the market wasn't ready for the concept what we wanted to do, and we find out that in order to do what we want to do is we have to educate the market. And we didn't start with the marketing, which we're going to go and reach out to everybody. We picked 10 entities, brand, people we want to collaborate with and who to reach out to. And we said, if we educate those 10 people or get the chance to work with, and they will be able to amplify the work we wanted to do. And we did that. Took us about 3 years for the whole industry to understand what we wanted to do. We're very unique to the region, but we're not unique to the world. There are studios similar to ours in Amsterdam. I can give you an example, Random Studio or 8 Inc. in London. These are the studios that we work with. 8 Inc. is the concept behind what Apple Store looks like right now. The founder sit down with Apple to kind of create what the Apple Store environmental looks like, and the emphasis on how people experience the space, the emotions, and these are unique studios that work with the brand. Often brand don't have a good do have a good product, but don't know how to sell it. And Random Studio is what they do with Jack Moose. Everything you see what Jack Moose is doing for the past 5 years is conceptualize, design, and build, and alongside Giacomo is Random. And this is what Duet is doing. We never pitch. Any of the work that we have done is through, hey, we want to work with you. And we never read a brief. We always sit down with the brand and tell them what we can bring into the concept. We handpick brand the way how they handpick us. We never repeat campaign with the brands. It's easy to say now, but for the first 3 years, we have to do a lot of the heavy lifting and educating. That's Duet. We're also interested how people maneuver inside the space and how they interact with the experience we design and how you feel after you left the space. It's not about the campaign that is, it looks good. It's about when you get home, is this still at the back of your mind? And we're very good at it. I can give you a little bit of an example. When you walk into the store and you pick up a product and buy it and go, you think you did that. But there is an army of people like myself and Rahat worked on tricking you, picking up that product and buy it. And it takes us about 6 months from the time the product's been launched or conceptualized to put it at the back of your mind. If you want to know how we do that, I can take you through it. But I know the rest of the team wants to talk. Okay. So a lot of you know luxury brands, you know about fashion shows and etc. That's often a collection that is designed 3 months or 6 months in advance. And at the time of the fashion show, we all kind of watch it on your phone, on TV, or on person, or through your favorite influencers who've been invited to go and show off on your phone. And that was the first time you have the glimpse of the collection. And from there, there is a team that will be designing the whole communication that will go into every social media, every PR, every platform. So we make sure that you see this thing over and over again until the product is actually produced. What you see on the runway is not the product that has actually been designed until we get a feedback from you and see what things you like, what you didn't like, what you share, what you collected, and then we start to see it on the street if you start to dress like that fashion show. Then the brand will make a decision what to actually produce and put it on the store. And from there, also the brand narrative and the story, the marketing, the event is pre-planned, and by the time the editorial team will be working with everybody to do the photo shoot, and you will start to see this and billboards and on the road. So we know who you are and who to target you. So when you wake up first thing in the morning, you pick up your phone and the first advertisement comes in is because you liked it 3 months ago. Is that? And then when you go to work and driving, you will see it on Sheikh Zayed Road on billboard. And you don't know that you've been seeing this. It's all being registered at the back of your mind. And by the time you walk into a mall and with your friends, you're passing by and you will see it on the window. That is also by design. That's the first time you slow down from going into the bathroom, wherever you're going. And you will tell your friend, I like that product. But we've been putting that at the back of your mind. And your first glance, you will say, I like that product. And you walk in and you pick it up. That's not the product we want to sell it to you. It's actually the product will be sold is the one at the back. And that is what we call attraction. And then once you step into 2 meters into the store, you will have a nice person smiling, greeting. That's my brother's job. He trained these guys so well to compliment you and make you touch a product. That is the discovery zone. And everything else you touch there is almost something you can afford, but you cannot. And then that drag you to the back of the store where a lot of the stuff that you will be buying, the basics, the the full season collections and the moneymaker. We call them the bread and butter and stuff. And you pick up the product and you leave thinking you make a decision to buy. But we get paid a shitload of money for that to make you buy this. And this is by design. And not only that, is the team been giving you tips on what to say when somebody asks you a nice T-shirt throughout the store where you're walking. And if I say nice T-shirt, the first thing you would say, this is designed by this person, and this is the SS collection, and this is the bestseller, and you are constantly advertising the brand for free.
That is insane.
Yeah, and AI will never be able to do that.
Fair. But I mean, I don't know. From what you were saying and how much thought goes into it, and the processes and the systems that are already in place, maybe there's already like ways that AI is coming into place where it can automate this entire process.
If you want, there are other stuff I can touch on.
We'll come back to the AI conversation. Let's get into Rayen a little bit and like hear a little bit about your journey. You were talking about how you started a coffee shop in Lebanon, and that changed your perspective into the person that you have become today. Give us a little insight into what that transition was like, what it was like for you coming into Dubai for the first time, and actually and how did you even learn about the creative community over here, for that matter?
Okay, interesting. So, I mean, coffee is my thing. I always loved coffee, for sure. I think that's obvious. I think coffee shops are really interesting because we all know it's just not about the coffee. It's about like the conversations that happen there. And where I come from, Lebanon, I come more from the mountains area. So the coffee culture there is not really a thing. Like there's the Turkish coffee, but like people are not really familiar a lot with like espresso or lattes or whatever, you know. And like the vision was like when I started that coffee shop is to actually educate people about coffee, you know. And that was very interesting because it has a lot of touch points. As Fuad also was explaining, it's about designing an experience. And this experience, like, contains a lot of components. It's the design, you know, like the interior, actual physical design. It's how you welcome a customer. It's how you explain about a drink. It's how you name a drink, you know. It's how you put it out on social media. And by the time I was inspired also, like, by a lot of, you know, global brands. Like I think one thing that really helped me that I was always, you know, comparing whatever I was doing, no matter how small it is, with global brands, which are like, you know, 1,000 times bigger than what I'm doing. But this never, you know, I think this never stopped me. Actually, it was really inspiring to think in that way. And by the time I was learning more about photography and how to like shoot on videos, like I didn't even have own a camera back then. I was like using my friend's camera, which is funny. And I was like, you know, shooting those videos day to day and putting them out on social media. And little did I know that by that time I was learning about what I want to do forever. And because it's your own thing, then there's like no client. You are your client. There's no feedback. You know, there's you whatever idea that comes to your mind, you just go and shoot it and do it the way you want. I think that gave me a lot of like different perspectives, you know. So you're not just taking pictures, you're not just taking videos, you're not just designing something, you're actually involved in the whole creative process. So you're so it's like you are the kind of the creative director of your thing, no matter how small it is. And this, I think, gave me a chance to experience like those creative fields and mediums, and getting to know more about each one of them and what goes into it. Because sometimes you might see the simplest thing and you think it's easy to do it, and when you go and try to do it yourself, then this is when you actually become aware of what it takes actually to make something great. It's like the small little details that nobody thinks about. And one thing that actually was really interesting is the people element, you know, because coffee shops are about the people. I mean, without people, there would be no coffee shops, right? So that having the people at the center and thinking in that way makes you, you know, creative in a lot of ways, because you actually you're actually trying to understand how those people think. There's a lot of, I think, psychology that goes into it as well. And this is where you start actually drawing the parallels between, different mediums of art. This is where you see that architecture is not so different from filmmaking, is not so different from doing a coffee shop. It's like the center is always the same as the people. I think this is interesting how to think about AI as well later on, because there are those small touch points which are very human and they are very personal. And I don't think anything can replace that element and that component. Anyway, I had it for, I think I was 23 actually when I started the coffee shop, and I didn't overthink it, to be honest. It just came from idea to execution in no time. I remember that, like, I think 1 or 2 nights before the opening, I was there learning how to do an iced latte or whatever. It was just so
2
funny.
days before the opening, you were learning how to make coffee.
Yeah, 100%. Because I was also doing the drinks myself. Like, there's no capital. You just gotta do everything yourself. So you just gotta get your hands dirty, and that's amazing. That's really great. And this is, I think, like, teaches you a lot about everything. So I think not overthinking that was also a major part, and I think sometimes being maybe a little naive in a good way is important, because you just do things and you figure it out on the way, and then it's just somehow it just turns out, it happens, and then you craft it on the go. And 3 years later, or a bit less, Dubai called. Things were not going well in Lebanon, and there was a lot of, different political things happening. And actually, I think because I applied for that job, and actually I think what got me the job was the content I created for my coffee shop, which by the time had nothing to do with cards, but it was like, they trusted probably like the taste or the style or whatever. And this is, I think, where the main transition happened. Coming from Lebanon to Dubai, although like they are, 3 hours away, and they are both in the same region. There's a lot of cultural differences. The pace is different, the people you meet are different. The exposure here is so different. And I think I realized this from day one when I landed. But it was always, when I think about it now, and it's not like I'm talking about something which happened 10 years ago. It's only like maybe 4 years ago, But when I think about it, it's always positive, It was nothing was negative about it, because coming here, you just learn that this city is not really for everyone, and that's a good thing. You just really need to be ambitious, and I think that's one thing I've always been as well, and I really found myself in the city, and this for me changed my perspective here, that yes, you can dream about something and it can actually happen. You can meet the right people. You can, just do the things that you always said you want to do. It requires a lot of effort, of course. You just gotta always try harder, and it somehow, I think I believe in manifestation, because I don't want to go too much in details right now, but there's a lot of crazy things that happened. I remember that when I was in Lebanon still, before moving to Dubai, there was one campaign that came out from Porsche Middle East. It was called Drive to Extremes. It was a fabulous campaign. They built one track in the desert and one track in Finland, and it was like the exact same track, and they were like doing match cuts between them. It was crazy. And I was looking at it, I was like, this is insane, and this is like exactly what I want to do in the future. And I was digging on Instagram, and I found out like who was the guy in charge of the marketing back then, and I just messaged him, hey, I'm Rayen, a visual artist, whatever, your commercials are in my daily music, something stupid. And I think he ended up never seeing this message. And a few years later, when I got the job with Porsche, was sitting in the same room with that guy.
No
and
way.
Like, and I just, for me, it was surreal. It was not a real moment. And I think that was one of like the things that really inspired me to also move forward, because when I think about it, actually, it's everything is possible. And this is for me always like my motto. I think everything is possible. Like, I love those three words. They just say a lot. And going back to your question, how I learned about the creative community, I don't think it's something I learned. I think it's naturally, if you if you are a creative, or if you are a people person, if you are someone who needs to do anything great in life, you show up, and then by showing up, you get to meet people, and those people connect you with other people, and you just always find yourself meeting the people who actually, resemble how you think, and you connect with them, and they have, similar vision, similar style, and similar taste. And I think taste is very important. I think having a shared taste really, attracts the right things. So yeah, it happened from one thing to the other, and there's a lot of those things happening in Dubai. I think you just need to show up. Like, just very simple. I don't want to sound very philosophical. You just need to show up, and just by being here today, I think met already like 3 or 4 new people, and I think that's what it takes. You just need to get out of your. I mean, what I'm doing right now is I'm just stepping out of my comfort zone. I never done this, and I'm happy that actually I've done it, and I came here and just met everyone.
Yeah. To be honest, it was both of you guys. When I was speaking of Fuad earlier, I think when we were supposed to do the conversations last month, he's like, "Yo, man, there's one thing. I'm not very confident with the mic." And literally, like 2 weeks later, he's been doing this every day for a month now. And now he's such a natural as well. So shout out to you, man. But that's what it is, because I was also in the same space at the same time. Like, coming in and hosting conversations, I was never a very extroverted person. And like anything, I learned that this is literally just practice. The more you do it, the more comfortable you become doing it. And that's about it, Before we go into the conversation about AI as a tool, or like what we believe is going to go in, I have an important question for all of you guys. You guys can answer, whoever wants to go first. What would you say is your biggest failure in your career, or your biggest turning point? Because I just remember Smaz, he was talking about it in his presentation earlier, about how it's important to fail quick and learn and move on. And like, I thought it would be a very important question to bring up to you guys.
Should I hit this one?
Please.
I shouldn't have volunteered. It's the failure and the blessing that I'm always generally the person to be like, I'll go and I'll figure it out along the way. That's a great question. Biggest failure and or turning, what was it? Oh, okay. Well, I think, to echo what both you gents have said so far, there's so many parallels, so much resonance. It's actually really comforting to know that we all go through some real things in life. And perhaps the trick is to actually be awake to those moments and to try and stay as awake as possible, because how do you know when you're in an aha moment? Generally we know in retrospect. So for me, I mentioned earlier that I have a background in technology, and before moving to Dubai, that was, my academic background, my early career, I said, I'm going to do startups first. I'm a startup kid, like through and through. My earliest dream was to be, multiple things. You move through the astronaut, mermaid phase, and then you get a little bit more professional about it. My earliest dream was to be an artist and a writer. I think I knew that from a very young age. I'd been making and writing and illustrating my own books from the time I was about 8 years old. And I think one of the first turning points in my life, now that I look at it, was I had a moment in high school when I had the choice to go to art school or to continue at the school that I was. And I think by that point in life, multiple factors, family, culture, socioeconomic environment, growing up in South Africa, the general consensus was do something safer. So I stayed the more science, engineering, mathematics kind of course. Perhaps this is not unfamiliar to a lot of us in this room. But in that, I'd always kept the creative muscle going. I'd always found myself the creative in the room, no matter what room I was in. And it took me a while to recognize that that might actually be the thing I need to embrace. So I've had so many failures. I can't really, failures that I lean into them as learnings. They've all been learnings. Everything is an absolute blessing. Everything is information, Anger is information, failure is information, being absolute cringe is information. It really is important to feel absolute cringe, I think, a lot of the time. the most significant turn, the thing that led me here, the thing that led me to introducing myself as an artist today, I had, during COVID, joined a startup. I became one of the first 4. I was heading up the building of a fintech for the creative economy. That was my strategic vision, that I believe that we as creatives need better financial solutions. Maybe this is a chat we have another time. But in that environment, though, I also found myself the only woman and the only woman of color in leadership. And those were dynamics that you become aware of. You know, they are, one doesn't want to use them as excuses, quote unquote, but it is no fiction that we are in a world of systemic injustices, depending on how you're born into this world. And I was facing so many of those on a daily basis that I wasn't fully aware of, because the startup world is also a little bit like the Wild Wild West. I feel like the creative world is like that as well. It's very much sleep when you die. It's very much go, go, go. It's very much, if you're not working, like, what are you doing? Like, are you not, why is your laptop not open right now? It's a very, very, very unforgiving environment. One of my first aha moments was when an investor asked me after a call if I was okay, and I didn't know what they were talking about. And they expanded on the statement to say, you know, you were just in a room where you were essentially the punching bag for your CEO. And that fact didn't break me. What kind of broke me was the fact that I didn't recognize it for myself, the fact that I had become so accustomed to that kind of dynamic. And I guess the leadership dynamic got more friction-filled as we got closer to launch. We didn't end up launching as we needed to, largely because of a lot of leadership dynamics, a lot of investment. I mean, banking is an incredibly difficult space. I look back on it with a lot of sympathy as well for that entire team. But it was a moment where, throughout that period of working, that I turned to making art as a way to survive. It was purely a way to survive. I needed something that felt like me. And I found myself returning to my earliest joy, which was writing. And I started writing more expansively, more abstract. You know, I started playing. What felt, right now, to be honest, I'm not articulating it like a failure. At the time, I felt like an absolute failure. There was a long period when I eventually left the fintech. When it set into motion, I think that domino effect that happens when you decide to step off the path that has sort of been built for you, but then that you've also gone and reinforced for yourself. So there were a lot of questions about, you know, what should I be? How should I be? Also, being in technology, there's a lot of great advertising. There's a lot of great PR around this being the future, and that you need to be about technology in a certain way if you are to survive in this world. And these are ideas that even while I was in the company, I clashed with a lot. Because as a technologist, you are also a designer, you are also an architect. You have the power to design differently. And I think it is that recognizing that these were the great lessons I could take with me. Art sort of became this sort of unraveling or returning to a more authentic self. Funnily enough, through that startup, I ended up producing a music festival back home, which landed me working in a music festival here, and a lot of just saying yes based on like all the experiences I've had, to the point where like now I do work a lot professionally as a producer while I am essentially designing my own creative practice. And to be honest, there's a part of me on dark days that looks at that journey as a series of L's. Like, how many L's can you keep taking? And I recognize that I'm coding those as L's or as failures, largely because they're probably not it's not my voice coding them as failures. And yeah, to just, you know, return to the question. For me, what has felt like moments that are failures, I've gotten a bit quicker at interrogating who is naming it a failure. What is really the failure here? Because at the end of the day, at the end of the day is night. We will all arrive at a very definite night in our lives, like the last, So to learn to reframe failure as quickly as possible and as gently as possible for me, I think has been the turning point, Yeah, does that mean with me? Yeah.
Sorry, no, 100%. It does make sense. It was that realization. I think for a lot of people, it's about that moment where you suddenly realize that you need to wake up and actually look at things from different perspectives a lot more. And I think that's what it was by the question being, what's your biggest failures? What other people are at some point in your life you considered a failure, and how did that kind of like change your perspective? And I think 100%, like you being able to start identifying and noticing being in certain situations and how you could turn those into your advantage and what's actually happening. Or there's a huge wake up call to see your career path differently.
I mean, we're also in a culture, right, where you log on to any platform today and we are instantly met with somebody telling you what is the way, like what is right, what is wrong, what is optimal, what is not, what is success, what is failure. I am interested to know like how each of us here builds that sort of mental muscle to clock it, and to define it for ourselves.
I think for me, like, there are things in life, like when, if you go back in time, like, and you feel like if you can change it, that it's the right or wrong decisions. For me, like, I think quitting architecture school or quitting, like, college in general, I think that was the biggest turning point. That is one of the things where if I go back in time, one of the things that I will 100% do again without thinking it twice. And it's not because I hated architecture. I think it was amazing. I think it's like one of the shapes you in like great ways. You just learn a lot about everything in life. And like I just got to know recently that like the best directors in the world, they come from an architectural background, including like Christopher Nolan, which is crazy. But like I was, when I was studying like at university, I was not the most successful student. I was good at design and like conceptual things, and then I was failing a lot of other courses. And at some point I felt like I'm just going there, I'm just wasting my time. It's not what I want to do. And I just took that decision. And back then, like I just don't want to make it sound like a TED talk right now, but like literally zero or none of the people or my friends or my family supported that decision. It was like, what do you mean? Like you already you studied 4 years, still have 1 year left. You're just gonna have a degree, whatever. And I'm like, I don't need it. Like it's not what I want to do. And I was so confident without any grounds, like without anything rational. It was just a feeling, and I think I owe it to that. Like now when I think about it, it just that moment, like that. There was one day when I was driving back from university, and I knew this is gonna be my last day. Like it was just a decision that just it was for me non-negotiable. And I had endless conversations with people around me back then about it, and no one literally changed my mind. At the time, it can look like a failure. Some people might see that you're quitting, like you're a loser, like you're just not built for that, But I never saw that perspective. I think failure is a perspective, really, and it's definitely always an experience. And how you see it defines how you move on. You can, you can fail at something and just let it put you down, and just you're not like lower your self-esteem, your confidence. You can feel shit about yourself, but also you can, see like why did this happen, and kind of break it down and kind of dissect it and see maybe this is not what I meant to do. There's something better, and I think learning about yourself and knowing what you want is important, and this is, I think, the defining factor that makes you see everything as a failure or success. Like, is it aligned with who I want to be? Is it aligned with my aspirations, with my dreams, with my goals? If not, then I mean, screw it. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, why do I even want to think about it? But if it does, you know, and it's important, then no, you just need to, of course, like, I'm not saying just be passive about everything and just like whatever. No, of course. If you had a shoot and did it go right, then you just need to think, oh, maybe I didn't prepare, you know, maybe I should prepare more. Like, there are moments where you should learn, of course, but not everything matters equally, I would say. Yeah, that's my take on it.
What about you, Fuad? Let's hear it.
I like everything you talked about failure, but there is something that always scares me at the back of my mind is actually the word success. I think scares me itself, not the failure, because I feel like success is you're done. For me, a lot of the time I measure things as job done and you move on, but success is not near whatever I wanted it to be. We don't even know the end and what it is. You just have to.
Do you consider yourself successful right now?
No, whatsoever. No, it's someone else's box. If somebody say you have done this, yes, it was a job that to do, but we are on the way to doing something, and we don't even know what it is. And once we are gone, somebody else will say whether that was a great job or not. For us, is we ticking our boxes as we go, and we make sure that we have a lot of fun doing it.
Okay, so you're more in love with the process of doing it.
Yes, this still is a process because I can tell you right now what we wanted to do by the end of the year. I can tell you what we wanted to do in 18 months or 2 years. We have a medium-term, long-term goals, but it doesn't mean that is the end of this to get to success. It's just...
And what is it that drives everything that you create? What is that core? I feel like we're doing a little therapy session right now.
Yeah, we're supposed to be talking about shit about AI, but
We'll get
yeah,
there.
look, it's I think the I'm in competition somehow with myself because at 35 I quit my job, so I started something new, and I feel like I need to catch up. And I'm yet to catch up into where I wanted to be. And I raised everything else that I've done up to the point of 35. So that is something that I get paid for. I can tell you that I've done this, but there is nothing. And anything else we have done from the point of Duet Studio until now, it's our own. You can Google and find that work. And nobody's going to take it away if I die tomorrow.
Fuad, could I ask you quickly on that? Does that beginning again, in a sense, because you definitely haven't discarded everything, you know, to date, but like, does that beginning again ever shake your sense of confidence in where you're at on a deeper level? Like,
very good question. We kind of have a clear idea of what we wanted to do when we start out. But I think what was the smaller aha moment we have was the network. There are two type of networks that we built, the colleague that we had and the people we work with, and people that know what we are capable of doing, doing what we set out, you know, throughout that period of in our life. But at the same time, we build a network of people because we manage budgets, and these people and relationships are based on how much money we spend. That's not ours, it's the company. And when I find out that, hey, I have a project, can we do this? And they're like, you're no longer handling that budget that we left in the company. So that was the moment that I had, we are screwed. The people I thought I could work with are no longer interested in working because now we're talking about smaller budget rather than a corporate budget. So I quickly learned how we can find the people we can trust to build what we set out to build. But also, I genuinely believe in a human relationship that you build with. We've been talking about collaboration for the whole week. if you have an idea and when you go to speak to somebody else and say, I have an idea, I want to collaborate with you, you're actually hiring that person. Don't start with that. If you want to collaborate with somebody else, you need to sit down in the same room and come up with the idea together and execute it. That is a win-win for both. And that's how I believe in. And anybody who's come up to me with a nice presentation and say, I have this idea, I want to do it with you. And I'm like, it's going to cost you a lot of money because I know what value I'm going to bring in, but this is not a collaboration. It's your idea, you're hiring me. But if you want an idea, just open the laptop and we start, write an idea together and we execute it. And that drove us to where we, or help us build what we wanted to do. And the beauty of what we do is we have a very similar career. If Rahat's sitting here, she will be saying the same thing that I'm saying. Because I happened to marry to my best friend, and that did the same thing. And thank you. It's that culture. We have it since 2008, the first time we met. And I've been saying, something pops in. What do you think of this? And we just throw in and polish it together, and we build it, and we talk about it, and it becomes an idea. We don't even know whose idea is it, and we just build and build, and it becomes something else. Sometimes I might start to sketch on something and then she would say, you add this and stuff, you build from there, but it becomes something from there.
Faisal, I know you want to say something, but could I cut in?
Okay. Go for it.
Because on the back of that, and on the back of the discussion around our perceived failures and our turning points, I would love to ask you, I feel like you've answered it, but I'd like to ask you, gents, and you can, add to this, but who in your life, has been that comrade, that companion, that running mate, that person who was there when you needed to make the turn, I know you mentioned that your entire family was like against your decision to drop out, but I'd love to know who, perhaps some of these people aren't even with us in the room always. And as we get towards a society where people are leaning more and more on their chats and their Claudes for their emotional support, who have the sources of human support been in your life at these pivotal moments for you?
I mean, when I said my family was against me, it wasn't like in a very negative sense. It was like they didn't support it, but they also didn't try to stop me, So that comes out of trust, I believe. I think it's very important to surround yourself with people who trust you, whether it's your family or friends. And even if they disagree with you about one certain decision, this doesn't mean like they are, kind of against your whole life situation. You know what I mean? I think about having a circle of friends, like close friends, maybe a few people that believe in you, and they will be like, you know what, we don't believe like it is the right thing to do, but we trust you, and you're gonna do the right thing. I think that's what it takes, And I think I've had, and I still have people like that in my circle, and I make sure I keep them close,
Fair. I mean, on that topic of real connections and AI, I have an important question, and this is one of the reasons why we wanted. And I feel like this topic is going to be very relevant for a very long time, starting from a year ago, I would say. How has the market shifted towards the way that you guys are presenting your work, and how has AI influenced the new direction that your work is taking? Has it influenced it in any way? And if so, like, how are you guys using it right now?
I use it. I think I know the consequences of AI has to the environment very much aware, but it's the same as my car or the same as taking a flight or any other technology that we've been as a human. But it's the use it responsibly is the cliche that I would say. But one thing that I know that it's what we are good at doing is creating taste, and those emotions and adding elements that is missing. What I make AI do is the research and the stuff that I don't have time for. I kind of know how the technology works. It's AI is learning with the existing work. Everything else that a human ever produced before this is taught to AI. Well, a human is learning as we live. You fall in love, and that's the way you learn. And you travel, and you meet people, you're heartbroken, and etc. But those are different things that AI won't be able to do. Knows how you can express that, but I don't think knows the feeling. And so I make sure that the AI in my work does the automation of the work, while I focus on the emotional side of the storytelling on my presentation.
What about you, Ryan?
I personally believe it's a great tool. I always say this, like when AutoCAD, which is like a drawing software, came out, it did not replace architects, just made their life easier. I think it's a great in a sense that it does a lot of the heavy lifting for you. Like, for example, why would I need to spend 3 hours to remove a tree from a picture, and do cloning, whatever, if I can do it with generative fill? I think if anything, AI challenged our creativity, because I met a lot of people in the industry, and I'm not judging or not saying it's the right or wrong thing to do, who hide behind, doing a lot of technical work, but there's no actual real talent or storytelling or creativity. With the existence of AI, it does all of this technical stuff and the heavy lifting, and it's like, you know what? I'm going to save you a lot of time doing that. Just show me your creativity. Show me what is your concept. And I think it all comes down to how you use it, of course. If you use it to replace your creative process or creative thinking, then you don't deserve to be called a creative. Because, anything we do, like our work, I think you can always see yourself in your work. You're pouring yourself into what you're doing. It's your character. It's very accumulative. It's like what you've been through. It's the places you went. Those music you listen to and everything. And I believe that AI will never replace that the human factor, but it is great in the sense of just actually using it as a technical tool. And if like you want to be more detailed, like for example, in our work, a lot of times you have a nice, cool idea, concept, whatever, you need to present it to someone who not necessarily the creative skill, like maybe they cannot imagine it. I think like you can actually visualize how it can look like, whether a storyboard or whatever, or a mood board. It's like visualizing that it helps a lot actually. And I think I also a lot of I'm still not great even using it, but sometimes I just like try it and I'm like, okay, maybe this is gonna get somewhere. Also sometimes it's structuring your thoughts. Like myself, I'm very like my head is everywhere. I have a lot of ideas. Like I have like things that I want to think about, and you just put it there, just structure it. Put it into a certain flow. So yeah, I think it's great if it's used in that sense.
And have you observed, like in your working environment, the usage of AI becoming something that is a necessity?
Advice asking you for
Just have more AI.
yeah.
I don't know.
I think it's funny. I always find it funny and interesting how clients or people who are not so aware of our kid, how they think about AI. Like I was once doing a video for an ex-automotive brand, and we went to the shoot, whatever, and we had one drawn shot of like the car blinding a dune, and that client wanted the car could come out from the other side, and then just it's not the shot. We didn't have the shot. I was like, he 10 times told me already phone that just do it AI. It's just like bro, it's not how it works. It's not the magician you think it is. It doesn't work that way. And I'm not great at using it as well. Still, is it a necessity? I think right now it is an expectation. Yes, like people expect you to actually be aware of the tool, and I don't mind that.
Do I use it a lot in my workflow? Not yet. I'm still learning a few things about Claude and ChatGPT and whatever. But I don't think it's really it is an expectation. But if you find your way around it, if you can do everything around this, that's great. Do you have an opinion you'd like to share with us?
You mentioned using AI responsibly. What? Could you expand on what it means to use it responsibly, given the background in sustainability that you didn't mention to us, but we know you have? Just, touching on the broader strain on the environment that AI is having. I wonder how this chat would be going if we had data centers being built to export to us. No, that's honestly just the thing that really weighs on me. How far removed we are from the border system that is required to build AI, to produce 10-fingered human beings coming out of car the other way.
I mean, look at that baby. If you're doing your math from ChatGPT, here's a calculator. That's why, yeah, it's a, or if, I mean, Google has no Gemini attached to it, but if you want to search restaurants or something else, it's use Google. ChatGPT, but for everything you use a ChatGPT, that's not responsible. Or if you're verifying something else, okay, you want to hear the thoughts a little bit and elaborate. You get to research. I think there is no better platform than the AI because it can expand and but what I mean on sustainability, a couple of years ago, I took a course in Cambridge and I studied on circular economy, sustainability and circular economy, and that kind of opened up my eyes and the way we deal with the environment. I also like to believe on self-proclaimed farmer. I like to bar. I look after the garden at home, and my hand gets dirty, and we have a bunch of ducks at home, and I like that. It's a very human thing to do, and then that reminds you of get in touch back to the nature a little bit. So and that's good reminder to using things responsibly. But yeah, I do use it as a tool, but it's the same as the Microsoft Excel.
I mean, I have a slightly different perspective to that because, again, for us right now, AI as the version that we see it today is a very early version of what it is gonna look like. And like anything else that humans have created, for example, cars, boats, ships, the first versions of it were always the most inefficient versions of it, right? And as we start using this and as we start noticing that there's a need to make sure that this is as efficient as possible, I believe we're still like a long way from finding the most finest version of AI. We're still playing around with the brand new technology. Yes, there is a lot of sustainable like questions that come with it, but that also happened with cars. That also happened with batteries. That happened with most technologies. But for me, I want to explore more as AI as a medium. I would relate this back to an experience that I had coming up in the architecture and design industry, where the revolution of AutoCAD. So my first couple years in the architecture design industry, I worked for a company that was the oldest architecture firm in UAE. It's called Gordon Nelson Johnson. They had like 250 employees. They've been operating to the past 30, 40 years. And me as someone coming in as a junior designer in that space, I was always given these lectures by older architects or older designers. Walking in over my desk and being like, "You have it so easy." Back in our day, we used to do all these drawings by hand. Let's actually bring it on us then. And for me, I was like, okay, I mean, good for you, but this is what I have right now. And you got to use it and adapt to making sure that you're able to get, because in the end of the day, all of these softwares and all of these tools are just tools used to convey what in theory went out there so that people can perceive the feeling or the craft of what you want to create, right? But right now, what I'm noticing is it also opened a lot more doors for new types of creatives. You have AI artists coming around as well, where they're able to maybe, again, depending on the way that they mix the medium, implement their own photography or their own videography or their own crafts and feed that into AI and be able to generate things that would have taken them much longer, but still be able to execute their vision. What is your thoughts on that next generation of artists that we're going to be seeing in the future? It's tough, to be honest. That there's always two ways to look at something. You can just look at the output. The output is something, but also what take to do is another thing. And I think like right now people don't have patience. I mean I might be one of those people, but I am people. It's just like you just need some things to happen quickly, and I think this is one of the main reasons why people also tend to use AI more because they just need fast results. We just like need instead of spending 5 days drawing a storyboard, we can do it in one day or half an hour or whatever. And I understand that. I think fine. It has always been an encouraging factor in anything. It's completely okay. Though also, if we wanna, approach the thing that we do, whether it's photography, filmmaking, anything like, as art, we all I think agree that it all comes down to the process. When you take a film picture, the picture of film, I've learned this from the guys at the back, Lucas, Nassim, and I don't know guys here, Yusuf, great film photographers. Like what it takes to actually take a picture and film, it's actually amazing because it's not like you just took a portrait of a talent or a model, I don't know, and a thief, all right. You just gotta have conversation on that with that person, you learned about their story, that you went back to I don't know, analog the room. You became friends with the girl or the guy there. You developed the flow. There's a lot of touch points involved in this process. Okay, the output is just one picture that you can now go on ChatGPT, get that prompt, copy, paste. Okay, add the grain, make it 35 millimeter, whatever, black and white. Add a bit of bokeh in the background, whatever. Okay, great. Maybe if you compare them next to each other, they both look the same. But the process is not the same. So it's just unfair to actually compare them because the value, is not really the output. The value is how you make it. And the value is the experience you gained by actually, trying to do that. And this experience is irreplaceable because this is what makes you alive. You can be, yes, behind your laptop 24/7. You don't meet anyone, you don't see no one, you're just learning how to prompt. Okay, great. But you're missing out. You're missing out on all those touch points. You're missing out on all those moments which make you human and which make you feel alive. And it's just this is how I think about it for some piece.
To add to that, and into just mindful of time, I think that the interesting thing, you mentioned being a gardener, you mentioned it being just like another tool, another input. Um, so in the world of fine art, we have a lot of artists who are starting to use AI also to explore to bring AI into the room as a collaborator, to see what happens when a large language model works with your choreography or works with your text. What does it turn that into? There are various new forms of art, being produced, and that's essentially just using it as a new tool of the toolbox. But I do think it's interesting with every new wave of technology that, we've seen in the past few years, digital fatigue is pretty much widespread. We are yearning for tactile spaces. We're yearning, for less screen time, even though it's, pretty much an addiction. So I think the inverse and the beautiful part of it is that we will see more AI, more artists using various forms of AI, but we will also see more creatives and more industries that embrace more tactile forms. And it's almost paradoxical in that the technology will move. Like in the last few years, hasn't Kodak become profitable again? Because people want film again, And there is that, if that, is a bit of an existential calming effect, the fact that not all of us need to go home right now and master Claude, I hope that's it, But that I would like to open to the floor, to find out, because we do need to wrap up. And I mean, thank you so much for being so patient with us and listening to this chat so far. But I would like to know, just in the room, who feels a little bit of existential anxiety because of AI? Hands up. Are you afraid that it's going to start taking your job? Hands up. Boy.
Don't want to pray, but
No one's afraid.
yeah, what presents you going? Hop hand up? Hand up, hand up. Would you like to share with us with the group?
There's a go.
For me personally, yes, because I work in PR marketing and I'm a journalist. So for me, yes, I worry that my job will be taken away, and I already do see that. I got day off last year, so I had a job for like 8 months, and now when I gravitating toward these type of jobs, the salaries are very low, and the companies are making me use AI instead of like me being organic, and I don't want to do that. So I do see a lot of change. Sadly, my workspace is kind of like going away, and I don't like it. I don't appreciate it. Even when I'm going on Spotify, like it's telling me AI, and I'm like, what? No, I don't want this. It's like so annoying. It's frustrating for me because I listen to like niche musicians, but I also listen to mainstream musicians, and now everything's like AI is taking over. Like even the mainstream musicians I listen to, they're doing AI. So it's like, where do I go? So that's something. This is my personal opinion. Yeah.
Thank you.
100%. And I also think that's going to be a question for the future as well, in terms of like the threshold where you kind of describe if something is considered AI or not. Because moving forward, every single thing that we touch will have some level of AI integrated here. So where do you start drawing the line? For example, now if you turn on Photoshop, the easiest thing to do is use generative flow, right? No one is going to go through the entire process of masking and clearing and like all of that stuff. So where do you start drawing the line then of saying this is clearly AI and this is still AI? Like, is your video AI because you did a small thing with AI in it? So what's that threshold? I think that's the question.
Well, so this is where I mentioned that as technologists or as designers, everyone.
Sorry, you pull it. Just sorry to stop you. This is also an open conversation for everyone. If you guys do want to have an opinion or share your opinion with everyone else, you put your hands up. We'll pass the mic over. But yeah, go for it.
I think you have to use it as a tool, and then maybe you can see more of what it creatively. How can you use AI and be better than others, or what? Like use kind of creatively how you can do better guide. So yes, maybe there is some mistake. There's no that typo that right now that there's marketing. Create that for yourself. See what's missing, and then use AI, and then be better than you. Yeah, I guess. I mean,
Yeah, positive.
Yes.
Yeah, it's just the idea that came into our head now. Just listening to everybody speaking, and like the word supply and demand came into my head now. Listen, it's a two-way thing, right? We as creatives are like making everything, but there's also the viewer. And I think us as viewers as well, we kind of have a responsibility to push back on some of the things. Like, I don't know. I think everybody now is like, we're seeing this surge of like AI music, these terrible adverts that you see of creating like AI. And I think once we as the viewers start to demand that process, I think that you were talking about that, like a real human making something, then the supply will start coming in. But once people start to value that, like, oh, this was human made rather than AI made. But right now, I think the value is AI made because we want things quickly, we want things done. But soon enough we're gonna have enough of that, and we're gonna learn more. And I think there's also like this skepticism that I think that I feel it myself, and I see this is more for like art, maybe photography. Like I see something and I'm in my head initially I'm like, is that maybe AI? Is this real? Like for sure, is this real or is this maybe AI? So I think that level of skepticism that's going to be around for a long time means that others like creatives, we now be to like all that skepticism and show the process, show what we've done and anything. So I think it's going to be a natural transition. It's not going to be easy though, but we're going to see the natural transition into like human made.
For sure. I mean, I hope so, because I feel like right now the direction that I've been seeing, like platforms like Hicksfield and like a lot of different AI platforms have been pushing for, is to make AI look real, right? And that's been the biggest problem that AI companies have been trying to solve. Right now, you have AI influencers. You don't need to speak to a single person or get like 5 different UGC videos of this product, of a girl being like, no, like, come try this with me type of video that is completely made with AI. And at some point, you're not going to be able to tell the difference between is that an actual person or not, because it's been fed so much data from actual people that is able to emulate that, So maybe, again, this is an open conversation. No one really knows what's going to happen. And that's just my theory.
Do you think it's going to happen to what happened with the horse and the car? When the car came, horse was the cheapest thing, and then when the industry opened up, horse become the most expensive thing. Is this going to happen to us, that AI is going to be the cheapest thing, and then human work is going to be the most expensive thing to do?
And human made is like the luxurious thing. It's like craft, handmade, and then AI made is basically the cheap AI slot that it's like. It's already there already.
Yes. So. Well, I have just a question for you regarding, because I thought the same thing that you thought, right? I said that. Right. So I have a question to pose to counteract your argument, which is, can you tell the difference between a vegan burger and a regular burger? They've been working on this shit forever, dude. Right, they're trying to make it. They're doing everything they can to make it look like it tastes like a real burger. Yeah. But it's not a real burger.
But I mean, I
hope it stops there. Essentially.
Hopefully, I mean, I've been researching enough into vegan burgers to have that answer for you. But yeah.
But I think the broader impact of producing vegan burgers to taste like your wings is a good difference to the
Things AI can make vegan burgers.
Yeah. I think in the interest of caps, winding down.
Yes, we need to head out.
Yeah.
We have to wrap it up, but it's been a super beautiful conversation. I love how you want
Yeah, I want to address.
You want to ask him a question?
I thought I told us.
Oh, you want to tell him something else?
All right, so my name is Rayen here. He is one of the model creatives that you would expect to come in the region. People that come from across countries inside to the UAE often want to either replace or diminish the culture or the community or people around. He's one of the people that came in. He said he's been 5 years already, touched points with multiple communities, helped other creatives. He is one of the people that gave us our second ever project, Ascribe Bonus. Reached out straight away, gave us a Mercedes-Benz campaign to run. It was the Emirati Women's Day 2023, as well as other projects that we couldn't continue that one as well. But yeah, shout out. He's a model creative to come from outside and really integrate with the community and culture. And I think a lot of creatives that step into the country need to learn from that. So shout out to Aina.
Thank you so much, Dai.
Bye. Ciao.
Thank you. Thank you. I really appreciate that so much. I think it's an honor and a privilege to actually be here in this country and this community. And I think if you take something, all the people give back. So thank you so much, Nader. Yeah, peace. Love. Shout out. That's beautiful, man. No, to be honest, I mean, this is the reason why we wanted to make sure we got Ryan on board. I've been watching his work for quite some time and like the way that he kind of, uses what he does to kind of support the community, tell stories. So like showcase really, really cool visuals coming out of the city. I think his work speaks for itself alone. So shout out to you, Ryan. But keeping in mind the amount of time that we have taken, it's been a really, really beautiful conversation. And thank you, Fuad, for hosting us in your space.